the sirens wail their grim warning, hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers scurry for shelter against the attack. Auto traffic is halted. Riders and drivers taking cover in a realistic drill for a day all Americans pray will never come. A pall of restless silence cloaks the streets and skyscrapers of New York, one of the main targets of the mythical air armada of 400 planes. 8 million people vanished from view. A lonely vigil over a city paralyzed by atomic attack.
Have you tried to read these guidelines on your phone? Forget that. You can't hardly do it. Well, we'll set that aside. A little intro there. I know that a lot of you that attend our congregation lived through that era when there was a real concern about nuclear weapons in our country. I even grew up where I'm old enough to remember having nuclear drills where we all had to go to the hallway, bend over, cover our eyes, cover our ears, open our mouth to relieve the pressure, all that kind of stuff, because, you know, it was the Cold War and we didn't know what was going to happen. There have been a lot of times in the history of our country, in the history of the lives that you've lived and the lives that we live, where we've had different things that have caused us to be concerned or worried or take precaution. World War II, no doubt, caused a great concern. Later on in life, as we had different plagues or different illnesses and things like that, caused concern. So what do? Well, we did the best we could. We took the information that we had and we did what we were told, thinking for ourselves, obviously, but still doing what we're told because we just didn't know anything else. And we're facing one of those times right now. We've got over 100,000 people that are dead because of this coronavirus, people trying to figure it out. And so if you read the article that I put out earlier in the week, you know that, man, there's so much information out there, you can't make head nor tails of it. We may look back on this in a couple of years and say, can you believe all the stuff we did to avoid that stinking virus? But here's the thing. Since we don't know all that stuff right now, we just got to go with what we know. And what we know is that we're going to try to do a little social distancing, keep about 6 feet away from each other. We're going to put on these beautiful, decorative, and lovely masks in order to come together so that we can see each other. Some of you might consider, as far as I'm concerned, putting a mask on a real blessing. But let me hit the guidelines real quick. These are few things that the elders put together. If you can't read it on your phone, and no one can, I don't think, and if you don't have a big computer, I got a big old monitor. You see that thing back there? That's a 43-inch TV. That's what I need to see things, and so that's what I put it on. But I thought I'd mention to you some of the little rules here on that thing that we're asking people to do. If you come in and don't do any of it, well, that's on you. But you know, let's keep the peace. Let's just look at the real privilege of being able to go to worship. That's what I'm looking forward to. Aren't you just like gone crazy to get back to be able to worship? I am. So let's hit it real quick. What do we got? Social distancing, 6 feet, right? If you got a family, take your kids, keep them together. Try to keep 6 feet away from each other. When we go into the building, the doors are going to be open. We want to keep from touching things as much as possible. And the reason being is because before worship service and after worship service, we got cleaners coming in, and everywhere that could be touched, they're going to come in and clean. And the less that we can contaminate surfaces, the better off we're going to be. So keep your hands off of stuff and keep your hands off of each other. No hugs, no handshaking, you know. And if you would, if you're 2 years old or older, put a face mask on. Of course, you know the ages that are more at risk. We have several that fall into that category at Sun Valley. Look, if we don't see you there on Sunday, we know it's because you're protecting yourself and you don't want to put yourself in danger. We certainly can appreciate that, and we'll be praying for you while you're away. For the rest of us that show up, do a little self-check before we leave. You running a fever? Got anything over 100? Stay home. Hacking, coughing, snorting, sneezing, whatever you got, stay at the house. We don't want to risk it right now, right? So stay at home when that happens. If you got children, bathrooms are going to be open, right? We're trying to limit the number of people that go in there because you get in, you're in a tight spot. So if you got kids, parents, keep your kids on a short leash, and if they got to go to the bathroom, we ask that you take them in there and go to the bathroom. And do your best to keep 6 feet away from them, if at all possible. Okay? What's going to happen when we show up? Did you hear that smack? I need some tea. All right. Prepackaged communion. When you come in, we're going to have it into a Ziploc bag, right? And these are those impossible to open little bread things. If you got fat fingers like me, or you got any age on you where you got no feeling left in your fingers at all, you might have a hard time opening those while we're taking communion. We want to take communion, of course, on the first day of the week as we gather together for worship. If you find yourself where you just can't get into that stinking little container, do this. Let me recommend. Do this. Take it home with you and take it at home where you got a little bit more control over how you open it, or a knife or something to open it up with, you know, that kind of thing. Or if you want, when you come to services, pack you a little bitty, one of those little pocket knives, or a little bitty small something in there that you can sort of dig that thing open with. When you're done taking it, throw it in a Ziploc bag. When we walk out after services are done, you're going to have trash cans there. You just drop it in there and leave it there. Now, speaking about after communion, of course, we're not going to be passing around a plate or anything. And so for giving your contribution, we're going to have a place in the auditorium where you can drop an envelope in there, drop your checks in there, your change in there, whatever you're bringing to put in there, you can do that. We're going to continue to keep the online giving going as well. And so you can give in either one of those ways. Take care of your contribution that way. We also ask, we know that some of us like to bring our drinks in. We like to bring our ice in, or whatever else we got. We're asking you not to do that. Okay? We're going to have some bottled water there. So think about it this way. We're just gathering for worship. All right? And so we're only going to be there about an hour. So if you can manage to live with a bottle of water for an hour, and after you're done, you just take off and go get whatever else you need. All right? So don't bring any food or beverages into the building, if you will. We're going to have the nursery open, but it's not going to be staffed. All right? So mothers, you need to take care of your baby. Go on back there in the nursery. You can do that. And that's how we're going to handle that. Not going to have anything to hand out. No more bulletins, right? No songbooks, no pencils. And sure, you listen to the news. Some people say you can get it off of stuff. Most people are saying you can't get it off of nothing like that. It doesn't matter. We're just being safe. And this isn't going to last much longer. Hopefully, not much longer. But if it does, we still come together. We'll look at those screens. We'll sing our hearts out and we'll worship God together. But we're not going to have anything like that we handle. We're going to minimize that as much as possible. And we're not going to have any toys back there in the nursery. So, you know, you older fellas that want to go back and play with your Tonka trucks, not going to happen. We're going to be sanitizing and cleaning the building before and after worship services, just to do our part to try to keep you safe. Now, here's something that has been impressed upon me greatly by our leaders, and that is this. Don't congregate in the foyer, please. That's number one. Number two, don't congregate in the foyer, please. Now, number three, don't congregate in the foyer before worship starts, okay? Number four, don't congregate in the foyer after worship starts. When worship is over, we're going to dismiss by rows, And the preacher's not going to be back there to shake your hand, to give you a hug. All right? We'll do a little virtual fist pump. But what the shepherds would like us to do is to exit from our rows, make a beeline back toward the door, and get outside. Now, once we get outside, you want to hug and shake your hands and all that kind of stuff. Stand out there in that 108-degree heat. I'm sure it's going to blister and kill everything anyway. We just don't want to do all this stuff in the building, all right? So when worship's over, remember, don't congregate in the foyer, okay? In case you weren't clear, don't congregate in the foyer. We're asking that you don't congregate in the foyer. Don't congregate before, don't congregate after, don't congregate in the foyer. So, I think you have got the message. You got the gist of these 2 pages of notes, this 12-point font, which I can barely see. And so, I can't wait to see you next Sunday, June 14th. Don't come in any earlier than 9:45. Go grab your communion cup, make a beeline to a pew. You'll notice that we've got those, every other one marked off. Do what you can to step in, to sit down to where you're, exposing yourself to as few people as possible when you sit down. And we can all enjoy being with each other in the presence of God and to worship Him and to sing songs of praise. And I'm so anxious for that. And I got to tell you, I'm looking forward to preaching to people that are actually there. That'll be wonderful, right? We can be together. So I look forward to it. I hope and pray that you're safe right now. I hope and pray that in a couple months or in a few years when we're looking back on this, we'll chuckle and say, you remember when we had the toilet paper rush of 2020? We had to do all that virus nonsense, and we'll laugh about it. Right now, we're doing the best we can, and know you're going to do the best to keep unity and harmony and make sure that we can continue worshiping. That's our goal. We want to glorify the Father together, and so that's what we're going to do. I love y'all. And I look forward to seeing you in about, what do we got, 10 days or so? 10 days. We'll see you then. Take care and God bless. Hey, no one's looking. Give me a hug. Seriously? No. 6 feet, dude. 6. Give me a hug. I ain't seen you in a while. Still going. Still going, right there. Stay that far away from me. Elbow. No. Knuckle bump. No. Whatever. No. Fine. Elbow. Knuckle bump. Whatever.